couple of months ago, I ran into this video right here. Essentially, as you can see, this grown-ass man goes and buys the entire stock of Pokemon cards, and when the little kid wants to get, like, maybe his one pack, then there's nothing for him to get. So, poor kid. Watching this video at first made me really upset. At least at first. I really started to think about the current industry of Pokemon cards. Like, what if that older guy owned a card shop and he wanted to get stock for his shop? Also, why was I assuming that this guy was just gonna scalp the cards? For all I know, that kid could have scalped the cards. I don't know. But that still got me thinking, like, what if I was in that situation? If I was in that situation and I saw all of those Pokemon cards, I would also want to capitalize off of it. So what if that guy was just capitalizing off of it? And why am I digging this deep into a video? Why am I sitting in a parking lot instead of going home right now? Why am I not transitioning it to the video? Shut the fuck up, I'm doing that right now! In the past few years, we've seen a big surge in popularity for Pokemon cards. And if my semester of marketing analysis did me any good, then I know C is a passing grade. Also, popularity means demand. And with the surge of demand for Pokemon cards, a large amount of people, get this, actually started to buy the Pokemon cards. And also, like, resell them for, like, double or triple the price, but who's worrying about that? I'm sure many of you know these people as scalpers, and by the general community, pretty much nobody likes them. So now when people see someone's cart filled to the brim with Pokemon cards, they're gonna assume they're a scalper. But you can't really just tell based on looks or looking at someone's cart. Like, sure, if I see some guy walk out of the Walmart with a cart full of Pokemon cards and Jolly Ranchers, I'm probably gonna think they're a scalper and then ask for a blue raspberry. But then that got me thinking of what I do when I see Pokemon cards at the supermarket. Well, back in June, I went to visit my friend and podcast co-host in Indiana, and while we were there, we went to a supermarket, and wouldn't you know it, there were Pokemon cards there. And if you're not into the market of Pokemon cards right now, then let's just say almost all of the time when you go into your supermarket, they're probably going to be sold out of Pokemon cards. So as a result, as Pokemon fans and consumers of the Pokemon cards, our first instinct is to buy as many as we can. And by as many as we can, I mean like one booster bundle per person. Then we went back home, opened the cards, and I got the card I wanted, so I was thinking, okay, great. So now I'm not going to want to open any more packs, right? Well, no, we went back to the supermarket the next day, and wouldn't you know it, there are still Pokemon cards there. It looked like they just restocked. Then we get distracted by funnier products because we're man-children, and then we look back at the shelf, completely empty. And wouldn't you know it, but a little couple walking off with a cart full of Pokemon cards. But in the back of my mind, I was still thinking, oh, they're just like me. They just want to go get Pokemon cards. But once again, why did I assume that? Why did I assume they were just like me? I mean, first off, they weren't Indians, so that's a cross off the list. I mean, for all I know, they could have been buying those Pokemon cards to have something to wipe their ass with. So what exactly are you trying to say, I hear you asking? Well, over the past 3 months, I've been researching, studying, and getting hands-on experience with the trading card community so I could expose the secrets of the Pokemon card business. Which was just me Googling and interviewing a couple people. First things first, I want to talk about scalpers versus business owners versus a general consumer. A scalper would be buying everything to resell at double the price, and because so many scalpers get to the supermarket first, they have a technical monopoly over trading cards, leading to general consumers going to them. A business owner would be buying everything to resell but are trying to beat the scalpers so they can profit and offer a better deal to general consumers than a scalper would. And a general consumer would be buying some cards to open or play with if they're in the very small population of Pokemon fans who play the TCG. Now let's boil this down. A general consumer would try to beat the scalpers and business owners so they can get cards at the cheapest price. A business owner would try to beat the scalpers and general consumers so they can profit and still give back to the community. And a scalper would try to beat the business owners and general consumers so they can make a buttload of money. You see the pattern here? If the general consumer waits, they still have to pay more. If the business owner waits, they can't continue to run their business. If the scalper waits, they don't have anything to scalp. But then it really goes to show, if you saw 3 customers, both with carts filled to the brim of Pokemon cards, could you really tell who is who? Could you really tell that all 3 of them are scalpers? Or are you just upset because they took all of the Pokemon cards? And don't get me wrong, I would be upset too. I was upset when I saw people walking off with all of the Pokemon Pokemon cards. But that goes to show, it's not just scalpers to blame. General consumers are just as guilty of making Pokemon cards more difficult to collect. Like, imagine you are in line at the bakery and the cashier says, "There's only one cookie left." Then all of a sudden, everyone in the back of their heads is going to be thinking, gosh, I need to get that cookie. So with the rarity of finding Pokemon cards at supermarkets nowadays, it's going to be the back of everybody's head. Oh my gosh, I have to go see if there's a restock. If I'm lucky enough to get a restock, I have to get as many as I can. So that's the down low of how general consumers are impacting the market, and I don't think I need to explain how scalpers are impacting the market. I'm sure you know just as well. But the more interesting part, what about the business owners? Well, in the past few months, I actually went out of my way to go interview some employees and owners of card shops near me. And let me tell you, I learned some industry secrets. I'm not really whispering because otherwise the mic probably won't pick it up. And for the sake of their privacy, I'm just referring to the transcript and I'm going to keep their names anonymous. A pretty general consensus among the interviewees was that the card shops aren't just a way to get trading cards at a better price, but they also have a sense of community. Hell, when I went to some of these shops, I've seen people just sitting down playing One Piece, Magic the Gathering, Pokemon, Yu-Gi-Oh at some points, Lorcana. Who the fuck plays Lorcana? That's how much of a community they have. It showed that they really are for the people and they're not just there to make a quick profit. Even though they will be making a profit, it's not soulless. Which then gets to the profit side where, yeah, they're charging a little bit more, but without that, they literally wouldn't profit. Which then gets to the profit side, which, yeah, they are charging a little bit more, but without that, then you'd still be competing with scalpers, which is pretty much the same thing. Which then gets to the rough bit, the obtaining of the Pokemon cards. Most of the people I interviewed told me that they would be spending hours waiting for a restock at their local supermarket just to get a chance at getting Pokemon cards for their company. Most of the people I interviewed told me that they had to wait outside the supermarket for hours just to wait for a restock to get the Pokemon cards to keep their places in business. This is unfortunately because the Pokemon company will only ship cards to official retailers, which is apparently very difficult to beat. So that's it. They're just like us. They're just like the general consumer, but they're trying a lot harder just for us, right? Well, not quite. I'm about to tell you something so crazy, so mind-boggling, something so downright fucked up that you might just fall out of your chair. Or whatever you're sitting on, or laying on, or if you're standing, you'd fall down. You know what? Maybe I'm going to drop this whole falling thing. They don't just wait for restocks. They pay off the employees so they have priority. Okay, I guess that really wasn't as dramatic as I made it out to be. But doesn't that make you wonder, aren't they just as bad as the scalpers now? No, they're not at all. I mean, you can disagree with me here. I feel like most people probably will in this case. I feel like the reason I'm giving them a lot of slack here is because of how much I value community and locally owned businesses. So I'd 1000% spend a little bit more if it's going to a small shop to gain some sense of community instead of, you know, like a Walmart. Now, yes, before you mention it, I am recording on a different day. Also, yes, this is coming from a very optimistic perspective where the business owners really do care about the community. But for all I know, some of the people I interviewed could have just been bullshitting and they really don't care about the community and just see this as a profitable business venture. And it really does make me realize business owners and scalpers aren't too far apart. And as much as I've used the term business owners this entire video, scalpers are technically business owners. And personally, that sucks for me to say because I'm putting something I find to be very noble against something I find to be very scummy, when what they do is kind of the same. A business owner buys and resells for a profit. A scalper buys and resells for a profit. So how different are they really? But in the back of my mind, I'm still thinking that business owner is someone who's trying to make a profit, maybe someone who's just trying to make a living and also giving back to the community. But then when I see a scalper, I see someone who's already made a profit, who's already made a buttload of money and is just looking to make more. But that goes back to the very moral of the video. How do I know? How do I know this is a really noble business person or a really shitty scalper? I'm never gonna know until I talk to them face to face. And that's the real moral of the video. No matter how much I care about this community, no matter how much I want scalping to end, it won't. Because we're just Pokemon fans who are too scared to talk to people. All jokes aside, scalping isn't going away anytime soon. And in fact, it's never going away. It's unfortunately here to stay. It's a cycle that unfortunately won't stop. However, it will dip. For example, the very situation we're in happened back in 2022 with Evolving Skies. And from early 2023 to late 2024, the prices for Pokemon cards were fairly normal. In fact, in early 2024, I was able to get a Paradox Rift booster box for $100, the normal price. And if we look up the value now, holy shit, it's doubled in price. So if us standard consumers want to buy Pokemon cards, what should we do? I don't know, just wait, man. So I've wanted to do this video for a while, so I may as well just put this into this video as well. I'm going to show all of my Pokemon cards. That's, I think, Lily's Clefable EX. That's a Miraidon EX. That's the Gold Rare. This is Team Rocket's Wobbuffet, the Japanese one. That is a shiny Paldean Clodsire EX. Terra Water Garchomp, one of my favorite Pokemon and one of my favorite cards. Aegis Slash, I love this guy. Steelix Full Art, Vanillish Full Art. 25th Anniversary Pikachu. That's Slowpoke? Yeah, that's a Slowpoke. That is Nemona's Backyard from Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. Oh, this Lugia V-Star because it looks like the Mr. Beast meme. Like the epic rap battle Mr. Beast versus Squid Game. This is my other Terra Water Garchomp, and this is my Cynthia's Garchomp that I got from Destined Rivals. Those are the only cards I really care about. Thanks for watching.